I put my resume on about 6 months ago. CBS, they powered by Glassdoor.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good way of, I mean, the only thing about most of the jobs, really don't care,
You know, to be honest, no, I don't think it's a good way. I really don't. I think that's, you know, if you can get any sort of job, regardless of whether it's an internship or even it's like an entry position in a radio station, if you can actually get in and do, you know, what you need to do so you're in front of the people who might be able to help you progress, then that's always a much better thing than shipping off your resume and hoping somebody's going to like,
It's CBS.
oh yeah, and you know, I mean, and CBS is a pretty large company. Like, I wouldn't even know, like, if I wanted right now to go and take a look at your resume, like, I met this great guy, you know, went to college, I got to talk to him. Let me go pull up his resume. I would have no idea where to go to find him or anything. So, you know, I mean, really it is, and that's why, you know, that's why social media is really important, because if you can make some sort of connection online with somebody, you've got, you know, that actual one-on-one connection, at least as close as we can get on the computer these days. You know, and you know, that's a person who's not only, who may be able to share, you know, a job that you can get, but also they can give you sort of, you know, give you a lead on something, or any sort of information you can use, you know, when you are actually trying to find a job or a position. It does help.
How old were you when you started your first internship?
I was 19. Yeah, I was 19 years old. And my internship lasted, actually my internship I guess technically lasted for, because I went for a second time. You can renew your internship as long as you're still going to school, you do it. So I think my internship technically lasted for 6 months. And then after that, they started paying me for the work that I was doing. You know, so keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully that happens to maybe all of you. Anybody else?
Okay, what would your advice be for say there's a student and he has or she has no background in radio until they take radio at their college and they're trying to get in. So basically for a resume for that individual, there's no other like previous background except for that. What would be the best way for them to go about getting into the radio business?
I would say the same route. I didn't know anything about radio. All I know is I wanted to do it, you know, since I was like 5 years old. You know, so that was sort of, you know, kind of indie. And you know, when I went to that radio station, I didn't, you know, I had no other. I had no other experience except for the college radio station, so I didn't even know what to expect when I got in. But you know, again, I mean, trying to get in. I mean, I would say just about anything you want to do. If you can like shadow somebody, you know, regardless of if you want to be a dentist, you want to be a real estate agent, whatever. If you can shadow somebody, or again, just somehow just see what the job is like firsthand on your own, that's always going to be your best route as far as just getting close to the job, figuring out, you know, if you want to do it, and then also putting yourself in front of people who can help you. Anybody else? Oh, I'm sorry. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Did you find that radio is different according to the area that you're in? Both like in terms of like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, every city is different. It's a lot easier to do radio, I guess, in your hometown because everything's so familiar. You know, Philadelphia was fair because I went back to Philadelphia when I was 30, and I just remember, like, you know, there's definitely like sort of that comfort factor where like you don't have to be the idiot who doesn't know how to say the names of these things that, you know, you grew up with. You know what I mean? Whereas, you know, it took me, you know, being here. I mean, I just love being in the Bay Area. So like, I wanted to learn. You know, I wanted to learn everything about this place. But it's still, there was still sort of a, you know, I needed to kind of have that time to become, you know, local, to become, to know what's going on here. So I would say, yeah, there's definitely differences everywhere you go. But essentially, once you get to a new city, you figure it out, and you know, you just kind of adapt to what it's like. But I mean, in general, I would say, radio is done pretty much the same. I mean, there's just, you know what's entertaining. As a personality, you'll figure out what your audience is into, what they want to talk about, or what they'll think is interesting if you bring up, or topics that you want to cover. The more you do it. So I guess the best answer is some things are different and some things are exactly the same, and you just kind of have to figure it out for yourself. Once you get something. More, anybody?
Sorry about my phone ringing.
That's okay.
But how hard is it for somebody who's older to get into this business? And we got responsibility, so answering and just like, okay, I can do that for so long, but I need to get paid.
Right.
How long is
Exactly.
it?
Well, I think that's kind of an issue for anybody who you've got a life. You've got things you got to do. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it is tougher because I think when you're 19, 20, 21 years old, and you've got a lot of time on your hands, so you're going to devote a lot of that time to radio stations if that's possible. But I still think you can make it work. You can still, here's the difference between now and back then. Back when I first started. Back when I first started, they didn't care if we slept on the couch. They didn't care how many hours we spent at the radio station. Nowadays, it's a lot more regulated. So they're not, so really it is all about, okay, you're going to work from this time to this time, and that's it. You know what I mean? So if you can carve out the time in your schedule, then you can get in there and do something.
Yeah. So when you had your show, Fernando and Greg, did they have you find a co-host, or they put you two together and said like make a show?
Well, you will find that they will do that. In fact, I'll give you the story of Fernando and Greg because it's I think it's kind of unique. We were on. Does anybody remember Energy 92.7? Anybody listen to it? Yeah. One person, two person. It's a small station. It literally covers San Francisco and a little bitty piece of Oakland, and sometimes they get in Napa if the wind is blowing just right. Anyway, I went to Energy 92.7 in 2005, and I left Dallas. Dallas is another city I had to move to, along the way. I was in Dallas, and I worked for the #1 radio station in Dallas. It's still #1 to this day. But I was miserable, and I needed something different, and I wanted to do something interesting. So a low-powered FM dance station that targeted gay men was very interesting to me. I thought, wow, this is really great. We'll be playing all this dance music and all this gay stuff. And, I can't wait. Bye, Dallas. So, and I'd already lived in the Bay Area. I worked at Z95.7 in 1997, 96, 97, and 98. So I spent 3 years at 95.7. And I loved it. I just fell in love with this area. I absolutely did. And I just thought, if I ever have a chance to go back, I'll do it. I'll go back to San Francisco. I don't care. So, Energy 92.7 opened up. A friend of mine said, you need to go talk to them because I think this is going to be something good for you. I said, okay, great, I will. So I called them. I sent them my air check. They said, okay, great, we'd love to talk to you. So I come out and I said, okay, well, I want to do afternoons. Like, no, we don't want you to. We already hired somebody for afternoons. Let's go, well, what am I doing here? And they said, no, we want you to do a morning show. I said, oh, you want me to wake up that early? All right. So we talked, and then we just kind of, figured it all out, and it worked. So I came out, and they said, okay, well, eventually, we want to get you, right now you'll just be doing this solo for a little while, but eventually we'll want you to have a co-host. And essentially what they did was, and this was pretty lame, but this is the story. They basically created the co-host in their mind. They basically said, listen, we want you to have a female co-host. We prefer her to be Asian. We prefer her maybe to have a kid, but single's good too. And I said, well, where do you expect me to find this one? And literally, I went through a lot of different people. And, I had a couple on the air, and, we just we went every single different route I possibly could to satisfy the image of the person they wanted me to be on the morning. And even they agree. It's like, we can't find this person. And she might be out there, but she's not willing to work for $2 an hour. So it just isn't going to happen. And so at the same time, I called my friend Greg. Greg and I had met, and this is the importance of internships, by the way. Greg and I had met in 1995 when I worked in Austin, Texas. I had done I was the afternoon DJ, and I was also the news director for the station. And Greg was going to the University of Texas. And he really had no interest in radio. His friend that he worked at Kmart with said, I love radio, I'm going to do this internship. They need more interns, you should do it with me. And he said, sure, okay. He didn't care. So he did the internship. He wound up falling in love with radio, and he actually started off not everybody necessarily has to be on the air, by the way. There's other positions in a radio station, like promotions, and that's the avenue Greg started going down. He actually worked his way up from an intern in the radio station to promotions person, where he drove the bands and did the appearances and scheduled the appearances, and then eventually became a promotions director. He had several jobs in Texas, and he worked his way up to Dallas,